Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video. And the last video on this car, incredible. Everybody really did enjoy it. Today is the day. We are going to remove that head and actually see if there's any further damage underneath the head. We've already priced up a complete cylinder head rebuilt, but we don't know if there's any damage underneath, and the manifold, inlet manifold, exhaust manifold, it's all got to come off anyway. So whether you're removing the engine or the head, it's all got to come off, hasn't it?
Yep.
So Chris is just tucking straight in there, removing all of the damaged parts and the undamaged parts. But
yeah, it's all got to come out.
Now they are coming out. It is apparent every single one of those is actually smashed, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can see them all there.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. So we are going to crack on with this today. We've got a nice trolley here to put all of the bit zoomed in too far. Got a nice trolley there with a bit of paper. We're going to put the head on there and all the associated bits, and we're just going to crack straight on and get it removed.
One thing, we have done a bit of research, haven't we?
Yep.
And these heads are apparently repairable.
That's
really
what the guy does.
Really surprised me. I thought that would be toast with those broken out, but apparently they repair them. So
Weld them up and then remachine it.
it must be, mustn't it?
In all fairness, Chris, they must be quite thin, the edges.
Oh,
because,
they are.
Look, there's...
Yeah, I know. I took a bit out.
Oh, I can see it there, yeah. Actually, I'll wait. Yeah, they're not very strong, are
They're
they?
aluminium, aren't they?
They're not designed to take a beating, though, are they, to be fair? So they probably work perfectly
all caused
well.
by an auxiliary belt or the tensioner for the auxiliary belt, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, or the clutch on the alternator goes. There was so many different... I mean, so many people reached out in that last video, and a lot of people actually recommended the same place that you've looked up about the cylinder head.
Yeah.
You'd actually looked it up, showed me, and then in the comments everyone was like, these guys are brilliant. So anyway guys, enough waffle, let's crack on. We need to get this off. And also thank you to everyone that reached out. At the chap up in Scotland said remove the bulkhead, it'll make your life a lot easier. So we're going to get the bulkhead out as well. So quite a lot of people in the comments of the last video said good luck with that, and we'd have to agree with them, mate. That is not nice at all to do. I mean, I should have wore a long sleeve top, really. You've got to get your hands down in the back of everywhere and strip literally everything off.
It's really awkward, isn't
We've had to remove the top turbo, the little turbo, just to get to those, the heat shield, to get to those bolts that are underneath it for the manifold. They are very tight, Chris, aren't they?
Everything is tight, isn't it?
I've done them all the way along here. The actuator we removed, and I managed to get them all the way, but down the end there was no way you was ever getting to those bolts without removing that turbo and that heat shield. But we have pretty much, I've taken my gloves off now, so everything's loose and out the way. It is down to those last couple of bolts, the engine mount on the end there, and
then the head bolts.
I'm quietly confident, yeah, head bolts out, and then we'll be lifting that off. But a lot of work, a lot of stripping,
a lot of pain to put it back together.
It is going to be very difficult to the point where
we don't know what we're doing yet.
No,
but if it is a replacement head, putting those manifold bolts in is going to be a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, probably better off dropping the engine out.
Well, what we might find though, once we get this engine mount off and we get the engine on a jack, that we might be able to get a couple of inches
forward,
give it a little bit more. But
I'm not saying it's impossible, because it's not. People said it's not.
It's just challenging.
That is very challenging, and mate, all we can do is just get on with it. We actually time lapsed for about 20 minutes, and then we just stopped, and we've probably been out here well over an hour and a half, possibly even 2 hours, just getting all of those bolts out. So we're going to continue on. We're quietly confident now it is going to be those manifold engine mount, those manifold bolts, the engine mount bolts, and we should be able to prop the engine and actually remove that cylinder head. So let's crack on with it. Before we move on, guys, I want to take this opportunity to show you the car vertical check that we did on this car. So Volvo XC60 diesel 2012. As you guys know, it has got a private number plate saying Rocky, but that does not come with the car and has already been removed. So theft marker all clear, odometer all clear, financial and legal all clear, and damage all clear, and it's all clearly highlighted there with that green tick. Now car vertical is updated, more user friendly. Of course you can skip straight to the part you want at the top of the check, so emissions, tax and fees, you can click on that, takes you straight to it. And of course damage, if it was damaged you can go straight to that. Odometer, so that brings up the mileage history of the car, so the MOT, service intervals, etc, etc. Last known mileage input there is 49,000 miles in 2022. Of course we've had this sat around a while, and I believe the car's done just over 50,000 now. And here's an example of a report that does clearly highlight that the car has been involved in an accident, and you can see it there, damaged. Again, odometer, the mileage that's shown on there, and of course you can click straight on the damage and it takes you down. This vehicle was damaged, the vehicle is marked as an insurance write-off. Now this one in particular, category S, structural damage. Guys, if you want to run a check on your car, use the code up on screen now or the link in the description for a discount off your check. I want to thank Car Vertical once again for the continued support on the channel. Let's get back to the car. So straight into it here, guys, and to say it is very difficult to do would be an understatement. It is, them bolts on the back there, those manifold bolts are very, very difficult to get to. In a minute you'll see me climbing up on the scuttle panel while Chris is actually just undone the head bolts, and I'm reaching down for those last two bolts. Again, very, very awkward to do, not for the faint-hearted. I know a lot of you are going to say, why ain't you using a ramp? We've currently got a car on the ramp. It's a beautiful day. It's not a bad working height, so we decided to do it outside. Guys, we're happy. Well, are we? I don't know if it would have been easier to put a second-hand engine in this car. That really was difficult to get out. But no damage on any of the pistons. No damage whatsoever there. It all looks good. Chris is just taking the last few little bits. In fact, we have now decided that we're going to be going with a cylinder head for it.
Yep.
And we've spoken to the chap, and
yep,
he wants this cylinder head completely bare, but with the cams put back in and all cam caps put back on.
Yeah.
And that is it.
That's
all
it.
studs removed, every single bit of it
Yep.
has got to be removed. You can't leave anything on there, but there's not actually any valve damage on the back of this that I could see.
No,
anyway.
no, but they have all impacted, haven't they?
They have all touched, or kissed, I think we call it. But you can see there, they're all closed. So no damage there, and so the valve survived it, but of course they've caused that catastrophic damage.
Yeah, I think what we do, we get it in on my bench in a minute, Rob, and we'll upend it.
Yeah.
And we get all the little bits out, and then we cut in and show all the little bits, shall we?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you can sort of see them on camera, but it's quite difficult, isn't it?
Oh mate, you can see them, and
Yeah,
and you pulled one out earlier. There's absolutely no need to show it. Yeah. Yeah, everyone can see that's completely destroyed, that cylinder head.
That is
unsavable. Well, it's not unsavable because
that is the housing for that. For anyone who didn't see the first video, they break out, and every one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is every single one of them. Chris, could you hold that just for a sec? I want to. That's right. I wanted to shut that door because the radio was on, but yeah, that is. Well, it's not toast because the guy will refurb it. It's got to be an exchange unit as well, hasn't it? This one has to go
back.
back.
Interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, very interesting. They obviously weld a load of aluminium in there and then re-drill them, I suppose.
I don't know. Would it be that whether they have a piece made? You know, they've got new bits made out, and maybe they machine a load of this away, and they have a new complete piece that goes round that.
Yeah.
And they weld that bit in. That'd be how I'd try and engineer it. Trying to weld them up.
Crazy. See
yeah,
that one
I
there?
think
It's cracked.
There's quite a lot of aluminium there, so I think they probably machine a whole load of that away.
Right.
And then they've got a new complete round piece, almost like a piece of tube, possibly they put in there, and they weld that in.
Right.
We'll find out, won't we?
We certainly will, but that's good news about the rest of the engine. And guys, you can now see it is apparent how tight those bolts are. So we've had to go right down the back here to get these 6 bolts out underneath here. They are all bolts, but the 2 ends are both studs. And of course, there they are. You have to undo the bolt and then 5.5mm on the end there on the stud and wind the stud out, but they all come out lovely, so no issues whatsoever there. I guess we'll pick up, Chris, won't we, when the new head arrives or turns up, or whatever we decide to do about getting it, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice one, mate. Guys, and there it is. Chris actually cleaned this up, and he spent quite some time cleaning it up and putting the cam back in it, and you would ask yourself why. You are off to Cornwall, mate.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it down there and swap it over.
He's going to actually...
So that's got to go in the boot of my car.
And he don't want it.
Stinking of burnt oil.
No, but you've absolutely cleaned it out, and Chris he's got a pop there for something else, and he said, you know what, it'll be quite nice, and hopefully meet the guys and see what they, you know, what they do to them, and ask a few more questions. It's also got a box there with all the broken bits in. Not sure whether he's going to want that, but it's...
Bag that up like that. No good to us, is it?
No good to us. So I guess we'll pick up once Chris is down in Cornwall collecting the new head.
So I've just arrived at Autotech cylinder heads in Parr, Cornwall. 273-mile journey, I think it was for me. So it's been a long day already, and that's our old cylinder head. And I'm just about to take that in, and Ian is going to sort us out our replacement head and all the parts to go with it to build the engine back up. So let's carry that inside and we'll cut back in. Here we are with our replacement cylinder head. And I am just going to go down the back of the workshop in a minute. Can't really see in there the repairs, but Ian has kindly shown me one that is in the process of being repaired. And I have to say, what a neat job. Well, what a whole neat setup they've got. And here is the repaired cylinder head. And what they do is they do exactly what Rob said on the video. They weld that, build that up with weld, and then remachine it. And there you can see a stack of them. Ian said it is their #1 job, really, these Volvo heads. They do cylinder heads for all sorts, anything with an aluminium cylinder head, these are the guys. And they've got some cracking bits of machinery, which is right up my street. And Ian kindly showed me their new, or almost new, valve cutting machine, which is an impressive bit of kit. I'll just show that now. And he's just shown me that what they actually do is once the new seat is cut and the valve is ground on a separate machine over there, they put that little kiddie on there and vacuum test it. And he's just shown me that in operation. So that's yeah, a proper setup, and they will ship anywhere in the world. That's right, Ian, isn't it? Yeah, pretty much anywhere in the world. Yeah. And they're doing these Volvo heads and other heads.
Everything aluminium generally.
Yeah, anything with an aluminium head. We was just discussing the Berlingo heads that Rob and I have done several with timing belt failure, and they do plenty of those as well. So anyway, yeah, back to business. There's our new cylinder head and everything else to go with it to build the engine back up. We have got to make double sure we find why the belt failed if we can, because we don't want to go through this process again of putting it back on. But you've had that happen before, where people have...
If they haven't changed the tensioners and things and just done the belt and not found out what it was that caused the problem, just go again. It's worth doing everything while it's off. Change all the belts and everything you can change on it.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah, then you're safe then.
Yeah, good advice. All right, Ian, lovely. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, no problem.
We'll get that in the car.
So was it a trip to Cornwall, or was it a little bit of a jolly, mate?
Well, had to be done, didn't it?
You had a nice
Cheeky
time?
weekend. Yeah, nice. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, took a few pictures, so...
oh, did you?
You can put them in if you want.
I'll include them now.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So what we up to over here, mate?
2 of the old head bolts,
Yep.
which are no longer required because we've got a new set. So I'm just going to cut the heads off, both of those, and put a little slit in them so you can turn them with a screwdriver and make a couple of guides for lowering the new head on.
Yeah.
You just make sure it lands really nice, as you know, in my top
Come
of
on,
my
then.
toolbox.
Come on. I know this is something that you've always done, and it's fantastic, isn't it? Where are they?
They will be probably that one. Yeah. So.
Yeah. What? Go on, just off the top of your head, let you
I
can
think
see.
they're Pinto, actually.
Are they?
Yeah.
So a little slot in the top
Yeah,
for a
just-
flat-ended screw.
That's it.
And this just really does. I know they come with dowels anyway, cars, but you've got a nice long bolt here to actually slide it down.
You only need 2, normally opposite corners.
So you've got 3 sets there, and you're just going to make a setup for the Volvo.
Yeah.
So that we can slot the head on. So
That's it.
I'm not going to stand there while Chris is doing that because he's got his mic on and that grinder's going to make a right racket. So we'll let you get that done, mate. Definitely had a jolly wise down there, guys, didn't he? You always take plenty of pictures, don't you?
Yeah, got it, haven't you?
So that is both of them in there. You can see the back one is there and the front one is there. And it just, like we said, it really does aid sticking that engine on. You've got your dowels there, the head, sorry. You've got your dowels there, but that just prevents it from
It's not only
any messing
it's
around.
Not only that. I mean, like I say, on this particular engine, it's doweled. Some are not, but it stops the head gasket moving while you're landing the head. That's the critical bit, really, and you avoid any kind of damage in the process of lowering. That's not a particularly heavy head because it's aluminium, but some of the old cast heads were almost like a 2-man lift. They were so heavy, so you don't want to be just catching an edge on that new head gasket because you'll ruin it before you've got anywhere. So yeah, it's just good practice. And the bolts are scrap, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
They're only going in the scrap bin, so
they're stretch
why wouldn't
bolts.
you? It takes 2 minutes to cut a head off. So yeah,
They're stretch bolts and it comes with new ones. So it is exchange unit.
Yep.
Please make sure that the camshafts are bolted back down in the head when you're returning it for the exchange. You may be there may be a surcharge if you don't. The original cap here, we have to actually use our original, don't we? So that's the only bit that you do keep off of the head. The rest of it, these cams are the original cams out of this cylinder head. They don't put R cams in cylinder head.
No.
And I think there was some slight differences in the camshafts, and that's why they don't.
No.
You get the head with its original camshafts that go with it, and of course we ordered all of the other kit for it. And we got all of that off of him. So we got head gasket, water pump, Cambelt kit, auxiliary belt. We literally got everything. So yeah, what's next? I think what he mentioned there in the video about the problem that actually caused this.
That's right, yeah.
Which is, if you don't find that problem, this could quite easily happen again. Chris was just spinning that alternator.
Feels fine.
It feels fine. There's no play in it whatsoever. But down there, you've got AC pump, you've got power steering pump, you've got the
tensioner for the auxiliary belt.
All of that. We're going to change the tensioner and the auxiliary, but we need to make sure that we find the actual.
It doesn't feel anything wrong with it, which you wanted to find something wrong with it to say, that's what caused the auxiliary. Because an auxiliary belt will wear out on its own and go, but from listening to other people's experience, including Ian in Cornwall, he was saying, as a rule, it is that one of those components that fails that causes the auxiliary belt to fail and wrap itself around the crank pulley. So I was hoping that when I came back, we pinpointed something and clearly see that was the cause of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't throw the parts cannon at it and say, right, we're having new alternator, new AC compressor, new power steering.
False economy.
No, so we will definitely change the belt tensioner, and we will, doubly, trebly check the other, and then when we finally get it back together and fire it up, obviously we'll observe.
Watching it, without any revs.
We'll probably run it for a while, and then we'll probably take the auxiliary belt off and see if there's any sign of any damage to the new belt.
Yeah.
Because that would be kind of a telltale that we have got something still.
Yeah, definitely.
So if it's done a few minutes running, there should be no sign of wear on a brand new
No,
belt,
definitely not. No.
So I think that's what we're heading to do. But probably a good time just to thank Ian for his bits of
wisdom. Thank you very much. Yeah, and his advice.
Yeah, definitely, because top guys they are, and what a setup. You know,
he was in your element there.
Unfortunately, didn't set off till the morning. And time we got there, it was almost their going home time. So I had to quickly film that little bit you've put in there.
Yeah.
But I could have spent hours talking to them.
I bet you could, yeah.
I mean, what a setup. What a setup. But
proper old school, right up your alley. And
definitely. And we use them again, anything aluminium.
100%. Nice to know that they're repairing aluminium as well.
That's right, they're willing to have a go at repair, especially some of the rare stuff that you can't find. It's getting harder and harder to find specialists who will undertake repairing that stuff. People just want to sell you a new unit, don't they?
Look like they're repairing these Volvo heads, so like they're going out of fashion.
Yeah, it's their number one bread and butter, that.
Yeah, lovely. It's nice to see, but a long way for you to go.
Yeah.
Right, we'll leave it there for a minute. So a cracking video for us and you guys, and even a little holiday for Chris. No, he had to actually pop down there for something that he wasn't in a rush for. But knowing that the head was down there, again, quite a lot of you reached out, messaged and recommended this guy. We had already looked it up and found it, and it seemed like he was the man to go to. But Chris enjoyed it, had a nice little few days away. You did go with your girlfriend, Chris, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so nice little picture there of his crab sandwich and some other stuff. But yeah, he enjoyed it. We've got all the parts to get on with this project now. We still need to find out what actually caused that issue, and we know there is a problem for it. But that's not going to stop us in the next video cracking on, getting this block all cleaned up and actually getting that new cylinder head fitted. So as usual, guys, we do hope that you did enjoy today's video. If you did, we'd appreciate you hitting that thumbs up. Drop your comments and your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget, like, subscribe and share. Follow us on Instagram, Salvage Rebuilds, Salvage Rebuilds Chris, and we've also got TikTok and Twitter for anyone that wants to follow us on there. And that's Salvage Rebuilds UK. We'll see you all very, very soon in the next one.